We're live.
Oh, this is exciting. Well, then, in interest of being live, let's take people in to the first 3 seconds before we always hit record on 100 Not Out. Three, two, and one. Welcome to 100 Not Out, a weekly show dedicated to helping you master the art of aging well. Marcus Pierce here with you, and as always, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my brother from another mother, the greatest wellness guru ever born. You think Hippocrates was great? Well, I'll tell you what, you haven't heard about Damien
Oh
Christoph yet.
dear.
He is one of the most incredible human beings ever. Dr. Damien Christoph, welcome.
Marcus Pierce, thank you so much. It's incredible and ridiculous at the same time that you've likened me to Hippocrates, but you have. That's okay. Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you again, and live too, live on Facebook. It's great. How's the weather up there at the moment?
It's very gloomy. It's very gloomy. But I'm not allowed to talk about the weather living up here because people are like, oh, yeah, gloomy up in the Byron Shire. No, but it's grey. It's been windy and raining today. That's okay. But I just want you to know, I've
I can see
always
a
felt,
cloud. I
Damien.
just want to say because you haven't asked me how the weather is here. The weather here is unbelievable. It's a crisp, maybe 14 degrees, but no breeze. Um, no one cloud, maybe two clouds, and it's just gorgeous. One of those beautiful winter days in Melbourne. Amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So just in case, and you may not know this, you may be about to learn something about me. But for me, I just got distracted by this is so us. I just got distracted by our Facebook page, which
Yeah.
has the Ikaria 2018 longevity experience as its head.
Really? 2018? Is that
Oh,
true?
it's so us. Apologies to all of those people that can't come to the trip we went on 2 years ago. Um, no, because two things. One, I don't like talking about the weather
Yes.
because
Why?
I just it sounds ridiculous and petty because I'm always like I want to learn more about the person than the weather. I don't know. I just got this thing about the weather. It's a really bad thing because it's a good thing to talk about. And the other thing is, I wanted to let you know
Yep.
that I've always felt that Hippocrates was missing a chunk of wisdom. And since I've known you, I've realized that his missing chunk was the palm method and everything that you speak about. So that's why I say that you are one
That's
up on
hilarious.
Hippocrates because I just felt that in all of his wisdom, he was talking about, the melancholics and he was talking about either the personalities based on their bile or their stomach acids or something. But I just always felt he was missing something. And it's ever since I've known you, it was the palm method. And it wasn't until today that I've shared that with you. And so it needs to be said,
Okay.
it's important.
Yeah. No, great, fair. All right. Well, I'll take that on board, and thank you very much, Marcus. I'll take that humbly. It's a great thing. I'd
No
love to be
worries.
able to prove the palm method, other than just in anecdote. Maybe I've got to do some research on that one. But
Double blind control, get a few robots into a laboratory and give them palms. Wouldn't you have to then have scientific evidence about the shape and size of their stomach cavity? Wouldn't you then
yeah.
have to disembalm them and release the cavity?
Well, only only that what we could do is use the palm method as a method of measurement and portion control to see whether or not that has an effect on people's health and well-being. And then
Mm.
that would be the RCT. So that might be weight loss, or it could be energy management, or it could be whatever else. So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. This here is the size of your stomach, even though it is.
Yeah,
But
even though it is.
that doesn't have to be the thing. But anyway, yeah,
Gotcha.
could do that.
Um, Now, hello to our friends that are watching on Facebook. I just can't. My male brain just explodes. I cannot engage with the tribe uh,
It's not a tribe.
and talk at the
It's our
same time. It's a
community.
community.
It's our
It's a
community.
community. I'm just seeing books written with the word tribe. I've been seeing that word a lot. And every time I've been going through my book and replacing the word tribe with community. You'd be happy to know.
Well done. I'm so glad you are. In fact, I said it the other day,
Yep.
and who was it? Was it Shona or Debbie? Someone sent me a little message saying thank you so much for making sure that we don't call it a tribe, that we call it a community. So that was cool.
Oh wow! I think
Yeah.
it's a maturation. Now you said the word humbly earlier,
Yep.
and I always remember one of our most favourite conversations and episodes of 100 Not Out. I hope we called it the humble brag
Yeah, we did.
because it was probably 5 years ago, and you shared this blog, which ended up becoming a book by Greg McKeown called Essentialism, and
Yeah.
it was all about this humble brag. Can you give people a reminder of what it is? Because there's no
It,
doubt with
it's coming
easing,
back.
with restrictions easing, the humble brag is back. Can you
Yeah.
tell people what the humble brag is?
I can. It's interesting because when I ask you, Piercy, I say, Piercy, it's so great to see you. How are you? The answer or the response that I'm after is something along the lines of "I'm great, mate," or "I'm feeling really good," or "I'm well, thank you." That's the answer I'm seeking. Something along those lines, or "I'm having a shit day, actually, mate. Can we talk about it?"
Yeah.
Or it's not
I
that
need to
good.
vent.
I need a vent, or
Yeah.
rant time, or whatever it is. That's my intention for asking that question. If I didn't really give two fruits about you, I would say I wouldn't ask you the question. So in asking the question, it indicates that I care enough to ask the question. But what a lot of people do in this humble brag scenario is they take it as an opportunity to sell themselves as to how busy they are or how good everything is. So what's happening at the moment? I asked a mate this morning. I said, how are you? I won't say who it is. Asked him this morning, how are you? And he said, mate, I am so busy. And I was going, all right, hold right there. Hold right there. I need to tell you about this thing called the humble brag. He goes, what's the humble brag? And so I've told him this exact story. So this is as fresh as for me as you just brought this up. I didn't even know you were going to talk about this, but I already had this conversation this morning because the whole busyness factor is not the answer that I was after. I know that you're busy, but I want to know how you are. So you aren't busy. You are good, well, bad, or otherwise. Like busyness is not it's not related to the answer that I'm seeking. So I'm wanting to know how you are as a person, not what you are as a being or what you're doing. Does that make know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
the
absolutely.
humble
I
brag
can't
is
believe it.
the humble brag is just somebody saying that they're so busy that life's unbelievable, even if they're shit house. And so I always want to know how they are. That's all it is.
It's so poignant that you've said that it came up this morning
Mm.
in a conversation because it started my thinking with a conversation with a friend. Shout out to Shay Witten who said busy is back,
Mm.
and
So
I was
true.
like, you know what, you're so right. Like you had this conversation this morning, and when you and I were coming on just before this recording, and we said, you know, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, it seems like busy is back, and it seems like the humble brag is back. And you didn't tell me this before we hit record that this actually came up for you only this morning, and
Yep.
so sample size of 2 or 3, but busy is back and it's everywhere. It is everywhere, and the humble brag has re-emerged. 2 weeks ago, we had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Now we got too much to do, not enough time.
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So have you? I mean, obviously, Shay has brought that up. My friend has brought that up, and so that means that it's happening, and we do hear it. And I sent a text message through to another mate last night. How are you? And I got the only single word reply was busy, and
Oh,
yeah, and that.
killing me.
Yeah, no. So it is actually happening again. So maybe we've got to get that blog piece printed again and sent out there again because it's a great book, Essentialism, and it actually helps you break down in your life the reason why you might actually be being busy. Like, why are you so busy that you can't cope with life? That's the question.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you about. Like, my personal view is I have no problem being. I love being busy,
Mm.
but I think what you said is so important. And many 100 Not Outers that we interview, I
Yeah.
often remember like Thelma Zimmerman, the Anzac widow, and she's like, And we're like, Thelma, what do you do with your week? She's like, I just like to keep busy. I like to volunteer at the church and the canteen, and I do the money for the church, and I go here and play tennis and all the rest of it. That, we weren't asking her how she was. We just said, what do you like to do with your time? And she
Yeah.
was just saying, I like to keep active.
Yeah.
I also, in my working hours, as I know you do as well, I like to have a sense of activity. But I think what you said is so key is when people say, how are you? You're not saying, are you busy or quiet at the moment? Are you in a quiet time or a frantic time? Because there are times in the day, like at 8:15 in the morning, where the house is frantic. But if you said, how are you, Marcus? I wouldn't say, I'm so busy. I'd say, I'm great, but it's frantic. It's like, that's just the state at the time.
Yep.
And I think what you're saying is be more present with your answer. Don't tell people, the question's not what are your activity levels like at the moment? Are you quiet, inundated, what you're saying? I'm actually asking how you are as a person. And that's a very different question.
Yeah, true. It's actually quite a good challenge to set everybody too. So, as people are watching this, I noticed that Adrian Cuzner's watched it, Peter Lennon's watched it. Now we've got Tim Harkness watching it. There's a whole bunch of people that are watching this at the moment. As people watch this, I'd love you to think about the answers that you might throw back to somebody who asks how you are, and to be really mindful of how you actually answer that question, because the answer in the question could actually influence your well-being. Like, it could actually influence your mindset around life just in general. Like, if you're busy, it's unlikely that you'll stop to smell the roses. If you're busy, it's unlikely that you have time for empathy. If you're busy, it's unlikely that you will have time to reach out to your mates and just say g'day. There was a period of time where everyone was, going, oh, this is so cool. We get a chance to catch up with our mates on Zoom, through COVID. Oh, this is so cool. Like, I'm really reaching out and I'm reconnecting with all these people I haven't connected with for quite some time. That's something that we shouldn't forget to do. That's actually something that we want to try and keep on doing. I think that's a good thing for our health, if you know what I mean. We've got Ravi Rudner and Bryce Fleming joining us as well, which is great. So thank you, boys, for being there.
Gee whiz, the group is in, and let's just give them a big shout out, particularly to Ravi, because one of our favourite podcasts, Before the Dip. I think that might be sponsored by Porsche now, aren't they?
Porsche, Tesla Porsche.
Come through?
Tesla Porsche.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla Porsche.
Yeah, it's the new company that make electronic Porsches.
Came through.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It's called a Taycan. It's called a Taycan. They said it. They shouted out the other day that Taycan is the new electric Porsche that's just come out, and they've taken credit for it, which I think is hilarious. Those boys. If you haven't listened to some of the funniest podcasting that you ever could hear, tune into Before the Dip. It's outstanding.
And whilst we're giving our Facebook Live viewers a podcast pump up, we have to mention Pete Lennon, host of the You Matter Project podcast as well. I mean, it's just podcast galore when you're listening to 100 Not Out. You just spirals out like a nice spider web to other
right.
Incredible podcasts.
It's sad, Jodes. Thanks for being there.
And we must give mention to Tim Harkness, another viewer here, the producer of the Longevity film featuring Damien Christoph.
And you.
And me.
We were the stars.
Cale Brock.
He was our co-star.
And a few longevity legends of the planet are now available on iTunes, which is very exciting for 100 Not Out listeners.
Congratulations, Cale and Tim. Well done. That's really great. So,
if Cale doesn't win an Oscar at the next Oscars, whenever they are, there's something wrong.
Peter Lennon said he wants to start a watch party with this, but he's too busy to work it out. I think it's hilarious. Unbelievable. And Joe Arano, great to see you here too, mate. Piercy, what are the things that you were doing through this COVID thing that you really love, that have enhanced connection, that you want to keep on doing, and that you don't want to get too busy? Because off air, you and I were talking about all the amazing projects that you're ticking off at the moment. Like, you are achieving like there's no tomorrow right now. So as your life uncocoons, unravels, and uncomplicates and becomes unbelievably great, as it should have many, many years ago, as it starts to get better and better and better, what are the things that you want to keep on doing to maintain your connectedness and keep your feet on the ground?
Look, this is going to sound so biased, but I want you to cast your mind back to the days when Jackson was in nappies and you've come home from a 10 or 12 hour day And I think from memory, you had Jane Fleming and our lovely Ikaria alumni, Natisse, helping out as well. But you come home and the adult problems of the world kind of just disappear when you've got a young child that you're responsible for and the rest. So it sounds so cliche, but gee whiz, family are they're a great balancing act for me. So I think that ritual becomes even more important. Like that whole, we've spoken about this before, like nighttime meetings and webinars and all those other things which you and I used to do in terms of recordings and the rest. The nights are still sacred. Callie Brown's here. I saw her at the cafe yesterday. You don't get to see people in real life very much these days. When you do, it's a little bit whoa.
I don't know. I don't know if this whole Facebook thing is good for you because shiny objects are kind of like it's no good for you. Like you're straight.
It's bad.
Like, bang, off you goes.
I've changed tabs because it's too distracting. My male brain's exploding. Yeah, so that's what it is for me. It's quality family time in the morning, and when I say quality, it could be wild. It could be like I only get to eat breakfast for 5 minutes because at the moment I've got Spencer on my lap feeding him some grilled zucchini, and he's at the age. No, it's not the age thing. It's developmental. He still tries to eat the zucchini. I'm on Facebook Live, so I can do this. He tries to eat the zucchini. If you put it on on a plate with his mouth, like he'll bend his whole head forward to try and lick it off the plate, and he's got to learn to use his hands. But I don't have the patience for that at the moment, so I stick him on my lap, and I eat my breakfast, my eggs and greens, and he's got his, and I'm putting it in his mouth. But then he sometimes spits it out. And why is it that it always lands on your nice chinos, and it's the oily part of the grilled zucchini or the avocado that lands there? And that's your start to the day, that little oil stain on your leg. But that is good quality family time for me because it means I'm with my children going through the roller coaster of grilled zucchini on your chinos. And that's just how it is. And I want to maintain that. I want to keep that going.
Yeah, that's special. That's special. I like that. That's good. It'd be weird if Jackson sat on my lap and ate zucchini and spilled it on me at 20. But I love what you're talking about. I love it.
I remember those days.
I
do. It was only probably 18 years ago when you would have been having the exact same thing. I now eat breakfast with a tea towel on my right leg so the oil doesn't seep into the chinos.
I love it. Yeah, that's good. No, I do remember it. And I'm sure that all the people watching at the moment actually also remember it. And it wasn't too long ago that they were all doing it. So I hear you, mate. I like that. I like that a lot.
Simple.
We've been doing yoga. Well, we've been doing yoga once or twice a day. Yeah. And so we do it in the morning, which I really love. It's a great start to the day. And sometimes I even do it before going to play golf. And then we do it in the evening. So in our wind down time, instead of going TV off, screens off, read a book, bedtime, now it's like TV off, screens off, yoga, read a book, bedtime. So it's like that's actually come into our space, which is really good. So we've been doing yoga with Adrian. It's a YouTube thing.
Are you serious?
Mate, it's the best.
Adrian this morning.
How good? What? Yeah, it's great. It's so great. We're loving it. We laugh and it's good. We really like it.
I'm very happy that you are on the Yoga with Adrian community. I did lying down yoga with Adrian this morning. I did the evening wind down in the morning because I had a bit of a stressful, but just people wouldn't sleep. I was up all times. Yoga with Adrian, it's the most humorous yoga you will do, is it not? She actually has a sense of humor.
She does. It's hilarious. She's hilarious. So we've been doing that. So I don't want that to stop. That's a subscription that I'd like to keep on going. I think that'd be unreal.
Are you finding what's feeling good?
What's feeling good?
Don't worry. Keep on going. So yoga with Adrian, yes. There is a 10-minute yoga with Adrian.
Yeah.
Which is sun salutations.
And right.
If ever I do not know what to do, I've only got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10-minute sun salutations with yoga with Adrian.
Yeah.
And the other thing, as you say this now, I have done the Body Coach 28 Days of Sweat challenge on YouTube, which is just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Of just, planks, push-ups, lunges, squat jumps, lunge jumps, mountain climbers, whatever. 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, high intensity. And that's just like another free 28-day challenge. But that has been a great Corona habit, which I think is, I will continue on.
That's good.
So,
Yeah, I like that. I notice that you're a bit more ripped than usual, so that's
God,
obviously got a
thanks.
bit to
You
do with
should
it.
see my abs. You should see them. They're just bulging. It's off the chart.
I don't know if abs should be bulgy. They should
Mate,
be like,
my body fat percentage has gone down to 3%. Now that the kids are eating all the food in the house,
yeah,
I just get the drag. So I'm ripped. I'm shredded. I am just,
I love it. I
yeah.
love it.
Anyway,
I haven't been doing any swimming. I've done no running. I know that Ravi's been doing running, and obviously they do the before the dip thing. What I'm becoming conscious of actually is when I'm listening to other people's podcasts, I'm becoming more conscious of some of the things that they might do in their podcast that I might now be doing in my podcast. And so you know how in before the dip, Muzza always says, "Yep, yep, 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 yeah, yeah." I feel like sometimes when I'm saying "yep" to you, that I'm saying like I'm becoming like Muzza. So if I sound like I'm saying "yep" too much, could people just pull me up on that? Like I'm happy to be pulled up on that, please.
well, here is a thing.
Yeah.
An old journalistic thing from TV days is you would never say "yep" because it would always interrupt the grab. So if Pete Evans comes on 60 Minutes and says this big statement that they want to turn into the promo, and if the journo says "yep" in between, obviously they could do their best to edit it out. But it was always a big thing. Is just always shut up during a guest interview, and it's so hard to do because in radio it never happens. In radio, it's interruption city, and you, sadly but badly by me, you get the dregs of my radio days because I'm a shocker. I interrupt, as you well know, all the time. And after 7.5 years, I'm doing my best to just wait until you finish talking before I start talking. However, that pregnant pause is not necessarily good for podcasts. That's why I'm always so attempting to time the entry point back into the conversation. This conversation's going in wild directions. I didn't know we'd be talking about this.
No. Well, it's one of those things that I'd like to keep on going, But we actually get timing pretty good, and I think that we get timing pretty good because we've been doing this for quite some time. But when people start off a podcast and they're in different states, sometimes there's a disconnect. But it's we're doing it pretty well. Anyway, it's good. So
Sorry, before you go on, last one on this. I just saw Ravi Rudner say, "Tell me about it. I wish Muzz was watching this." That's the most passive-aggressive slap in the face to your co-host ever. Why don't you tag him, Ravi? Why don't you tag him and timestamp the part of the podcast where we start digging in the heels? Your co-host. Hey, Murray, can you listen to this at 21 minutes where Damien and Marcus start talking about you interrupting me on our podcast?
Stop being sidetracked. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to let you watch the screen anymore because you're getting sidetracked. We've had some great friends of ours watching this live stream today, which is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying doing these live streams. I think they're great. Obviously, we're catering to the video component of the marketplace, and we're also catering to the audio component of the marketplace, continuing with the podcast. So I think that's really good. I love that level of engagement. It's really, really nice. Clearly, these people are listening to us and watching us. Have you got anybody that you'd like to shout out to at the moment who may not be listening or watching us anymore? Piercy.
Listening or watching? Well, the watching is growing, so there are lots of people not watching. Listening, listening. Oh no, Mel Phillips is still listening. Let me think of a really old one. Oh, you know what? Here's a curly one for you.
Yeah.
Here's a curly one. I've just got to remember the name.
What about Dr. Maria? Has she been listening to us? Do you think she's still listening? Or Andrea Huddleston?
Here's one for you.
Okay.
One for you.
Yeah.
Ash Bedford.
Ooh, yeah, Ash.
Yep.
I wonder if he's
Who's
still
up
listening.
in Bendigo or Ballarat now?
Ballarat.
I always get them confused.
He's in Ballarat. Yep. Ash and Ellie. I don't know if Ash and Ellie are listening. Be interesting. We'll soon find out now that we've called them out.
Yep. I'm thinking of some listeners that I used to have contact with that I haven't had for some time. Debbie Tippett. Haven't spoken to Debbie Tippett in a long time. Now, I think you mentioned it earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
But I haven't had contact with Debbie, and she's one of our inaugural Ikaria alumni.
Yeah.
I haven't had contact with Debbie in quite some time. So shout out to Debbie if you're not listening. And yeah, that's all. That's all. Always my mum. Definitely always my mum.
My dad, 100%. He's definitely not listening. So I can say whatever I want about my dad because he won't be listening to this. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, but that is great. So, Marcus, I just want to say that my golf's getting better. I want that to continue after COVID as well. I think that's going to be good. 3 times a week now I'm playing, which I think really helps.
Wow.
Yeah.
You'll be off scratch in no time.
I want to be off scratch within 2 years. That's what I'd like to be doing. So that's a goal.
You said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a goal.
By June 10,
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop that in my Google Calendar.
Okay. And if I get there beforehand, we'll talk about it. No doubt about it. That's a good thing. Yeah,
We'll
PC.
dedicate a whole podcast to that. It'll just be a brand new podcast called How I Got to Scratch, hosted by Damien Christoph.
Yeah, how about that?
I'm telling you, all right, we're going to have to wrap this up because we're just going over time as we tend to. I know I got a little bit excited and distracted by Facebook today, so apologies to our podcast listeners who in truth make up the large percentage of our listenership. If this got a bit sidetracked for you, we will, no, I will take responsibility. I will work better at integrating the Facebook podcast experience so you don't feel FOMO-y if you're on either platform. But I'm going to deny that one more time and just let you know, Damo, that Ravi has actually done what I said and has tagged Murray Warner in to tell him to listen. So anyway, I think we might be busting up a friendship here in a matter of moments, and maybe a podcast will come to an end since you sunk the boots. No, you didn't sink the boots in. You just brought it to the attention. So apologies to all the Before the Dip listeners if that podcast ends as a result of this. But as always, I've enjoyed this. Oh, this might be a bit of a wild beast. You might rein me in after this and say we can't do this Facebook thing anymore because you get a bit too excited.
You do. Well, you do. But that's okay. We'll keep on doing it because I think people like it. Anyway, Piercy, it's always great to chat with you. Thank you. I don't know if I'm going to wrap this up or if you're going to wrap this up, but you're dragging this exit out a mile. So I just want to thank you again for another great podcast, another great chat. Humble bragging is not cool. It's not cool, everybody. So drop it. Like, if you're busy, good on you. But we really want to know who you are, how you're going. Tell us if you're well or not well. The time is not now to tell us that you're busy. We couldn't care less. We just want to know how you are. That's all it is. That's the reason why we asked that question.
Couldn't have been said any better. Google humble brag if you don't know what we're talking about. Damo,
PC.
Dead Set Legend. If you have not been to Damien's website, please do yourself a favour. Head on over to DamienChristoph.com. Learn his wisdom, watch the Palm Method, and realise why he is greater than Hippocrates. Myself, MarcusPearce.com.au. To all of our listeners and our viewers, thank you for being part of this community. We love you guys. 7.5 years and running, no end in sight. We'll be doing this when we are 100 not out. Don't you worry about that. Share this podcast with a friend or your family. Show them how to listen to podcasts if that's too hard. Show them how to watch Facebook Lives. And make sure you continue to subscribe to the entire Wellness Couch community of podcasts. You can do that over at thewellnesscouch.com. Until next week, thank you for your support and continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Bye for now.
Bye for now.